When you plant your garlic, do you plant the whole thing or do you separate the cloves?
Yeah, each clove is a seed. Each clove will create a whole huge thing of garlic. So you separate each clove and you plant it into the ground. I just barely get in the ground and I cover it with 3 inches or so of wood chips, and I'm good.
Where do you buy seeds?
I buy seeds from 3 different places: Seed Savers Exchange, Baker Creek Heirloom Seed, and Fedco.
Are those all local or are they
No,
nationwide?
they're nationwide, and the first 2 are nothing but heirloom. Fedco has some hybrid seeds, but they really have a wonderful mentality. They're really on top of it. They're not going to have anything to do with chemical companies, and I really like them. They have wonderful products. I bought some asparagus from last year, some crowns, and I had people here eating asparagus. I planted that stuff in April, and in the summer, they're eating asparagus the size of my thumb.
Wow.
From plants I planted the first year. They tell you it takes 2 to 3 years before you can eat it. I was amazed at how beautiful those crowns were.
When you say it takes 2 to 3 years before you can eat it,
It's big enough.
most people, so you just leave it. It's a
It grows,
perennial.
it's
It's
a
always
perennial,
there.
It's perennial, but every year, because the crown develops, it just gets thicker and thicker. This year I ate it. The first year? I'm talking like I planted it that summer. I was eating it. It was awesome.
So we were talking about asparagus being ready for you in the spring as soon as winter's over, because roots go real deep and bring up all those minerals. When do you plant the asparagus?
Whenever you can, and once it's planted, it will feed you for all your life.
So I could plant it today, or I could plant it in
anytime you
June.
can get good crowns. Usually you get them in the spring before they're starting to grow, when they're dormant. So that's the ideal time. That's when they're available. And you want to plant them on borders, because all winter long, all summer long, they'll create ferns and they'll be in your way if they're in the middle of the garden. So put them on borders. But once you have asparagus, it'll feed you for your whole life.
And you don't have to replant it all the time. It'll just keep growing.
No, and it keeps multiplying. It keeps dropping seeds and keeps developing the roots, and so you get more and more every year. So
now, if we were going to save seeds from asparagus, wait, do you save seeds for asparagus?
They'll create little red seeds, and when they dry, you can save them and you can plant those, and they'll create asparagus.
And you would save those when, like, in the fall?
Late fall, yeah.
Where did you get your wasabi, and where can I get some?
A friend of mine, Joyce over here, loves sushi, and he just, he's a gardener, and he says, man, I want wasabi. So there's this guy in Oregon, I don't know who it is, but someplace in Oregon, there's a guy who raises it, and he does it all hydroponically. He's got his whole yard fenced with big signs, no trespassing, don't bother me, kind of a thing, and he's got all this water hydroponically running through his yard and rocks where he's raising this wasabi. And so he bought these little plants from him. I think he charged him like $20 a piece for these little 4-inch pot plants. I mean, they're tiny. And so he has them in his greenhouse. They're not growing. And he says, Paul, what do I do? He says, well, bring them. I'll plant on wood chips. They'll grow fine. He says, no way. He says, I know they will. So he brought them here. They've been here now for 8 years in wood chips, thriving, doing great. And I never irrigate. Doing awesome. So.
So since we don't know where this guy in Oregon is, when it comes time for wasabi pulling out, transplanting kind of things, are you going to let me have some?
They're really fragile, and they're very slow to grow. And I tried to get seed, and I found out the only place to get seed is from the government of Japan, and they sell them to you for $1 a piece.
So I can just 1-800
contact
Japan
and they'll sell them to you for $1 the seed.
Okay. Okay, so the last time we were here, you mentioned that you took some cucumbers from here and put them over to your orchard. And I didn't really catch it. You said something about that's going to extend their season.
Yeah, because
why?
Because when I move them, they go into transplant shock, because I don't take any dirt with them and I don't water them or give them B1. And so when I plant them again, they immediately wilt down and look like they're going to die. And by setting them back by that transplant shock, it makes them a lot further behind the original ones. And so when the original ones are all finished, these are just coming into their fruition. So it just extends my season from one planting. Instead of having to plant twice, I'm using the same plants. And by transplanting them and setting them into a transplant shock, I set them back. And so now I have staggered, my season.
Okay.
Extended it.
Do you know any sources of old varieties or maybe good European wheat seed?
No, but I would go to, my wife should tell you, when she goes to Europe, the bread tastes different. it's a whole different wheat. It's the original wheat, and I would, contact people over there, find out, what they have, and get that seed because that's the real stuff.
But there isn't like a rain tree of Europe.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. There may be, but I don't know.
Sure, somebody over there will tell us. I heard that collard greens are second in nutrient density, only to kale, and they grow well here in Washington. Do you grow collard greens?
No, I don't, but all those greens, dark green leafy vegetables, are just really great. I have such an abundance of kale, and it's so satisfying. I can't keep up with it, so I just, I haven't tried any, but I'm sure it's wonderful. But I love Swiss chard. I have, I've got that mache over there. I have, parsley. I have a lot of greens, and I just haven't tried one, but I'm sure it does fine, and it's good for you.